Greetings, campers! Welcome to this special live broadcast of the world according to Yoni. In case it's escaped anybody's attention, I'm your host, Yoni Martin. And why, you might ask, am I doing this live broadcast? I have no clue. It's been a weird year so far, and I just felt like doing something different. So here we are. And of course, if you're listening to the podcast, I'm not live. I'm on tape. But for those of you watching, however few of you there may be, this is me live in person. There will be no take twos tonight. So let's get started. And if you have anything to say, try to be kind, because as you all know, I'm technologically challenged and don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Um, First thing I want to talk about tonight is my last episode, which featured my wife, Tanya, talking about her screenplay, which we are trying to make into a feature film, Euphoric Tendencies. Excuse me, I'm going to cough. This is what happens live. Oh, yes. I love the after effects of COVID. um, it was certainly one of my most watched, listened to shows, especially on LinkedIn of all places. And it's weird. I don't know why LinkedIn doesn't count on YouTube, since that's where it's linked to, but it doesn't. So there you have it. But it was really gratifying to see how many people watched and listened to that show. It would have been even nicer if anybody had said, "Hey, that sounds like a hell of a film. I'd like to become an investor." Uh, that didn't really happen, but it was still a great show, and I'm happy we did it. So there you go on that. I also want to thank the members of Team ET. For those of you who don't know what or who Team ET is, this is a group of people, friends mostly, who so believe in the show and want to see this film made that they have joined the team to help ensure that the film gets made. So I want to give credit where credit is due, because these people are working their asses off with no reward, at least no reward until the film gets made and sold. So to my brother from another mother, Christopher Corman, yes, son of Harvey Corman, uh, Maria Passarelli, my high school friend who I didn't meet until many years after we both graduated high school, to Susan Posey, who has been a friend and who I've worked with in theater for many, many years, to my friend Ed, who has stepped up and believed in the movie version of the show for, well, he was the first one who really, put his ass on the line for it. So to Ed, thank you. And to my actor friend, David Purvis, who has also been working for us. I am grateful, and Tanya is grateful to all of you. I also want to send out congratulations to my former guest and friend, Steve Stollier, uh, for the major announcement that his book, Raised Eyebrows, My Years Inside of Groucho's House, is actually being made into a feature film starring Jeffrey Rush as Groucho Marx and Sienna Miller as the batshit crazy Erin Fleming. If you haven't read Raised Eyebrows, you really should, especially if you're a Marx Brothers fan. It's a really wonderful book. I also, while talking about books, want to apologize to author Dwayne Epstein, who I have been meaning to have on the show for months. Dwayne wrote a best-selling biography of Lee Marvin called Point Blank, Lee Marvin Point Blank. Um, It's a phenomenal read. It's fascinating. Lee Marvin was a fascinating guy, and Dwayne's book is great. So I hope you have Dwayne on soon. I promised him I would, and I will. Um, Speaking of books, my friend Jill Merzon and her friend and writing partner Wendy Pacharski uh, have written a phenomenal book. It's called The Bitch of Buchenwald: A Tainted Legacy. It is it has everything you will ever find in, say, a Robert Ludlum novel. It's based on a true story, but they took it off into their own fantasy world. All I can say is I was beyond impressed. I had a hard time putting it down when I was forced to put it down to do other things. It kind of pissed me off that I had to do that. And finally, I just said, I'm finishing this book because it's really, really good. Uh, oh, my brother says, stay committed. I should be committed, Ethan. I don't know where, but I should be. Actually, I have been. What am I saying? Um, Jill and Wendy's book is really, really wonderful. It deserves to be published. It needs to be published, and it should also be made into a miniseries. It's that good. And Jill doesn't know it, but I'm going to invite her on to talk about the show with Wendy. Um, that brings me to the film that I made with my brothers over the course of 10 years, White Buffalo: An American Prophecy. Um, Many of you have seen the film. I have had nothing but raves about the film. I'm certainly proud to have been a part of it. Um, and we haven't got a distributor yet for it. And I don't understand why, because with all the crap that you see on television, films, whatever, uh, this is a special film. It really is. And it's one of the proudest or the things I'm proudest of in my career. So that says a little something because I'm proud of a lot. I also want to send out thanks to some of my previous guests who've also become friends over the years, Frances Collier and Angela V. Shelton, better known as the comedy duo Frangela, uh, comic Suzanne Westenhofer, who was a fairly recent guest, uh, producer, editor, and actress Jody Hamilton, also known as Carol Burnett's daughter. Speaking of which, before I go any further, Jody just posted something on Facebook. I was about to turn off my cell phone, and I saw this post from Jody that I wanted to read because it speaks volumes of how I'm feeling at the moment. It regards uh, wearing the continuous wearing of face masks during the COVID pandemic. Some of you may have read that Florida's governor, Mr. DeSatan, uh, bullied some kids on a stage with him the other day, pushing them to take their masks off. So Jody posted this well, according to this, she posted a minute ago. It was more like 5 minutes ago, but I want to read it to you because it speaks for me. Jody said, "Yep, duh. And you stupid fucks that bitch at people like me who wear masks everywhere, fuck you and the diseased train you ride on. I've avoided COVID for 2 years. I have friends who have long COVID, and they don't want anyone else to have it. They are warning the rest of us." That's my friend Jody Hamilton, and Jody is on target. I am right there with her. So thanks for posting that, Jody, and thanks for giving me a little stop in the show for a moment or a little side thing. While I'm thanking some of my previous guests who've become friends, I want to thank actors Michael Cerveris, Stephen Tobolowsky, and Louis Stadlin, all of whose work I admire tremendously. And every time these guys step on a stage or in front of a camera, uh, they give the audience the gift of their talent. And the fact that they were willing to join me on this show uh, was a gift to me that I will be forever grateful for. If you've missed those episodes, go back and watch them because they're really good. Um, Finally, I just want to thank my wife, Tanya, for uh, her love and support and belief in me all these years and her belief in this podcast because I probably would have stopped doing it if she hadn't said, no, you need to keep doing this. So there you go. And now we go on to politics and a whole lot of fuck yous. Uh, to the white supremacist, faux religious Nazis uh, who are continuing uh, to mount Trump's attempted coup of this country and our government, and their desire to whitewash, and that is literally the appropriate term, to whitewash the history of slavery, racism, anti Semitism, and desire to turn this country into some kind of faux Christian fascist state. Um, they want to stop the true history of this country from being taught in schools to the kids. Um, they want to ban books. Oh, that's a really great idea. And all of this is just some pathetic attempt to pretend that this country's history is not what it was or what it is. First of all, these so-called Christians, uh, who I guarantee you would be the first ones lining up to nail Jesus back up on a cross if he came back today and said the same things the New Testament claims he said 2,000 years ago. Uh, I don't, they're trying to turn this country into some kind of fascist autocracy. And I don't get it. I will never get it. And I don't get what the hell their problem with the LGBTQ community is. Um, because when they spread their prejudice, chances are 9 out of 10 that it's going to affect someone in their family. I mean, I come from what I think is a fairly normal, average American family, and my family contains L, G, B, and T. The Q, I'm not so sure of because I've never really understood where queer fits into all that. But I'm sure that we have Q in my family too. Uh, and I love them all. They are all good people. They are all just normal, everyday people being who they are. So it offends me uh, from a from the perspective of the human being to begin with, and as a family member and friend, uh, it really, really pisses me off. So I, I just don't. There's so much I don't get at the moment. I mean, the complete and utter hypocrisy of people who claim being vaccinated against a deadly virus that has killed almost 1 million Americans and millions of people around the planet. They're comparing it to the Holocaust, uh, saying the government has no right to tell them what they can do with their bodies. These are the same people who are pushing and passing laws telling women they have no right to control what they do with their bodies. Uh, it's not only the height of hubris. My God, what's wrong with me? Live, people, live. Um, it's not only hubris; it is the beyond the height of hypocrisy. And it's somewhat contradictory given the control they want over their own bodies uh, that can literally kill other people. And while I'm at it, I just like to point out two other things. One, freedom of speech is not absolute. You cannot go into a crowded theater and yell, fire! If you do, it'll land you in prison, and rightfully so. And you can't or shouldn't be able to go on television or social media and blatantly lie to the public, especially when it's done simply to further your own agenda and you don't care if people are hurt or killed because of the lies you're telling. Uh, it's just not the way it is. Two, doing so and then having your ass booted off television or social media is not an abridgment of your right to free speech. Donnie Dumpster has proven that time and again, with speech after speech, spreading his bullshit to the suckers who don't care that he's lying to them, so long as what he says reinforces their own prejudices and need to have others to look down on. Uh, I, it makes me insane. You know, I know I need to say something about Russia, Putin, and Ukraine. I don't know what I can say that hasn't been said better than I'm going to say it, but let's just try it. Um, Ukraine is a sovereign nation led by a guy who, in my eyes, is a true hero. Um, but if you want to watch a repeat of history, Putin's move in invading Ukraine is no different than Hitler's invasion of Poland, while the rest of the world stood by and did little to nothing, pretending it would end there. NATO refuses to enforce a no-fly zone against Russia. So I have to ask of NATO, what the fuck is wrong with you? Um, do you fucking idiots honestly believe that Putin will stop at Ukraine? Because he won't. Um, how anyone in Europe can pretend they don't know what comes next if Putin isn't stopped now is beyond me. And let's get one thing straight. Putin isn't a communist. He's a psychotic dictator and former KGB agent who wants to start by reuniting the USSR. If he's successful, can you guess what happens next? At that point, our only hope is his fellow oligarchs decide he's not worth the billions they stand to lose due to sanctions put on them from other countries around the world, and they take the fucker out themselves. Uh, I've been a peace-loving guy my entire life, but Putin is a menace. He's a danger to the planet, and he needs to be stopped, and the world needs to stop him. That includes the UN Security Council, the entire UN, and every democracy or supposed democracy on the planet. And that being said, I am now going to get the part of my rant tonight that will more than likely piss off many of my fellow Democrats. Please, let's not kid ourselves that the Democrats are innocent of participation in the continuation of the Tangerine Turds legacy. And I'm not just talking about obvious scumbags like, Kristen Sinema and Joe Manchin. Most of us knew what they were from the get-go. I know some people pretended that, "No, they'll come around, they'll be part of the gang." Bullshit. They made it pretty clear who they were the minute they started taking money from right-wing PACs, and of course, Manchin is controlled by the, coal industry, which he's a large part of. So, yeah, we've got that. Their greed and welcome support from, people on the right, and it's obvious for everyone to see. We all can see that. But you know what? Before I go any further, I want to say, yeah, we've got some great progressives in the Democratic Party. And I want to give shout outs to some of them, like, because they're true patriots. People like uh, Jamie Raskin, Ayanna Pressley, Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, AOC, Adam Schiff, Auntie Maxine Waters, Eric Swalwell, and a bunch of others I'm not mentioning. Even so, I'm sorry, who's still in charge of the United States Postal Service? Oh, right, Louis DeJoy, the guy who was put into office to destroy the postal system from within by you know who. And why? Why are there still so many Trump appointees roaming the halls of the DOJ? Um, uh, have we protected voting rights yet? Yeah, I know they're starting lawsuits, but they haven't really done a whole lot yet. Um, and have we disbanded the the overtly racist Electoral College, which, of course, is how the Refugla QAnons rely on it to steal elections that they've lost? No, there's almost no talk about it. It's insane. Um, all I can think of is Glenn Kirshner, where are you when we need you? And I know Glenn would step up if asked, but he wasn't asked, much to my chagrin and to the chagrin of people who are not overly fond of the non work of Merrick Garland. Uh, I've been told since the day Merrick Garland was sworn in as Attorney General that he would go after the terrorists behind the insurrection of January 6th, 2020. Just be patient, they said. Okay, I've been patient. Uh, and to be perfectly honest, I'm done being patient. I know. They've arrested hundreds of the terrorists who invaded the Capitol on January 6th, but not one Rethugla QAnon leader has been indicted, from Boebert, Margie Taylor Greene, Madison Cawthorn, Louis Gohmert, Paul Gosar, Andy Biggs, and on and on. Not one indictment, even though we all know they were involved. And I'm not even getting into the Bannons and the Trumps. This is insane because here we are, folks, more than a year after President Biden was uh, help me, was inaugurated into office, and we're facing an election that could change the House and the Senate for the worse again. So we need to do things and get things done before that possibility happens. And it's not being done. So we're still living in a country where there's one set of laws for us and another set of laws for the rich and entitled. Um, I mean, everyone from the Capitol Police to Garland himself knows full well these traitorous bastards in Congress and the Senate were involved in an attempted coup on our government. It's not like they're hiding it, uh, just like they're not hiding the fact that they support Putin. They support a fascist dictator over a democracy. And now they're bringing Hunter Biden into it? Are you fucking kidding me? This is just insane. So that's that. I'm sorry, but no, uh, Democrats have to take responsibility for what they're not doing as well as what they are doing. I will, however, um, say one thing in defense of the Democrats, and that's about the budget, and or not the budget, but the the economy. Everybody wants to blame the economy on Biden and the Democrats. Well, I'm sorry, it has very little to do with them, and a shitload more to do with the fact that this country is run by mega corporations, and these mega corporations who are making billions in billions of dollars in profit and more now. They made more in 2021 than they made the year before and the year before that. And they're giving bigger bonuses to their CEOs. And yet, if their prices go up a penny, notice that the prices for us go up 5 times that. You can go into any store in this country, from Starbucks to Walmart to Costco, anywhere you go, and the price gouging is insane. You want to blame Biden for the gas prices? I'm sorry. Go look back at the prices for gas during Bush's administration. It's the oil companies. It's not the president. Now, if the government would do something to prevent the kind of gouging being done by corporations over the American people, that would be great. But so far, nah, Anna, it ain't happening. So I'm going to move on uh, and point out that while squatting in the Oval Office for 4 years, Twitler signed 220 executive orders, basically turning back every positive thing that President Obama did for the American people. Turned them all back. Gave the money to the corporations and his rich friends, not to mention his oligarch friends. And maybe it was under the orders of his boss, Putin. I don't know. But that's what he did. So far, President Biden has signed 89 executive orders. Okay, do the math. We've still got more than 100 and some odd executive orders that need to be overturned. Uncle Joe, what are you doing? Come on. I mean, we're relying on you to save this country. It's not happening. It doesn't overturn the damage done by Trump, by McConnell, who still acts like he's the Senate Majority Leader. And, with a complete wimp like Chuck Schumer as the Democratic Senate Majority Leader, well, who can blame McConnell for thinking he's still in charge? Because he sure as hell is acting like it. And while we're on the topic, how about the expansion of the Supreme Court? More justices to even out uh, Moscow Mitch's blatant work at installing not only people who are not competent to sit on the bench, but who don't give a flying fuck about the Constitution they've sworn to uphold and base their opinions on partisan and religious beliefs rather than the law. And there's not even a hint of the president doing anything to put more justices on the court. Thank God for the one he's nominated, but that's not enough. It's not enough. I mean, most Democrats know, in an effort to keep up with the Republicans, our party has moved further and further to the right over the past 30 years. And we did it to keep up with the right wingers who moved their party so far to the right, they've become the out and out party of fascists. Which means that today's moderate Democrat would have been a Republican in 1980. And these people, and I'm talking about the moderate Democrats, they hate the progressive wing of the party, even though they desperately need us. And why? Because they know we're the true Democrats. We are Democrats. We are what the Democratic Party is supposed to stand for. And we will fight. While I have been, and still to a degree am, one of those vote blue no matter who people, the ignorance of how to message and how to fight, or I don't know, maybe more appropriately, a willingness to truly fight the evil taking over this country is making me more and more sympathetic to those who believe we need a third party. It's to counter the corruption of the two parties we currently have. And I'm sorry, but in some ways, the Democratic Party, while not as corrupt as the Rethugla QAnon Party, still has its fine share of corruption. If Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema don't prove that, I don't know what will. I love Michelle Obama. I think she's a brilliant and wonderful woman. I think she was a great first lady. But she's wrong. When they go low, if we don't go just as low and kick the ever-living shit out of them, they win. It's really that simple. Excuse me, I'm going to take a drink of water because my voice is going. Yeah. We have to go low as they go, and fight them on their own turf, or they win. Because if you want proof of this, just look around you. Going high is a great concept. It's really nice. It sounds terrific. In reality, it's an invitation for the fascists to take advantage and turn this country, which was founded as a secular nation, something that seems to have been forgotten by a lot of people, into this faux religious autocratic state run by the rich, which is exactly what they want. And the poor schlubs following them simply because they'll buy into anything that tells them what they want to believe. It's we're on the edge, folks. Democracy is hanging by a thread. And let's face it, our democracy had problems to begin with. But right now, we're on the precipice. And if more of us don't wake up and start fighting, uh, the United States is going to fail. And I have said this in the almost 2 years I've been doing this vid podcast. I have said Sinclair Lewis's book, It Can't Happen Here, should be mandatory reading for every high school, college student in the country. Of course, those on the right, I'm sure, would be more than ready to ban it because it outlines exactly what could happen and what is happening. The man wrote it in 19, I think 33, 33, 34, based on what was happening in Germany. But it was incredibly prescient because what Sinclair Lewis wrote then is coming true now. And the bottom line is, it can happen here. It is happening here. And if we don't get out there and fight it, it's going to happen here. Finally, I am sick and beyond fucking tired of having to go through hundreds, and I'm not kidding, I literally mean hundreds of emails every single day from Democratic organizations or Democratic candidates or whatever begging me for donations or to answer their surveys, which always end by demanding donations. Uh, I'm not a true Democrat if I don't. As a matter of fact, I've even received emails that say, "Is it true you've left the Democratic Party and are now supporting Trump or the Republicans?" I'm a lifelong Democrat. I was working for the Democratic Party before I was old enough to vote. And to hear people in my party say that to me fills me with a rage I cannot express because how dare you? How dare you? Do you think that's helping? Do you think that's going to make me donate? If I donated $1 to every cause, and causes I believe in, mind you, if I donated $1 to every one of them every time they asked, I'd be spending over $100 a day. $100 a day. I'm being asked to donate money by people who have far more money than I do. Do you know how infuriating it is to have a millionaire telling me I need to donate to them? No, guys, here's an idea. Why don't you pass campaign finance reform? That way, everybody gets the same amount, and you don't have to tell people who are struggling to survive that if they don't give you money, they can't possibly be real Democrats. This is what I mean about the Democratic Party and their messaging. You send out emails saying how desperate we are and how desperate things are, and how we're on the verge of losing this election and that. Well, that's just great. Because desperation always works, doesn't it? Um, it's insane. It's insane and it's wrongheaded. And to say it's annoying is so understating things. I don't know how to phrase it. I just don't, because otherwise I'd be sitting here stringing expletives together in a broadcast that would probably last 2 hours. And I'm not going to do that. Aren't you glad? Um, okay. Let's let's end, I think, or get toward the end by discussing one of my favorite current topics, and one I started with by reading Jody's post on Facebook: COVID, uh, and the pretend bullshit that COVID is over. And it's not only people like Ron DeSatan putting that shit out there. If you don't think the Democrats are doing it, you're not paying attention. Um, what was it? Uh, you know, I get it. I get it. The business of America is business. So fuck the dangers of COVID. Let's all remove our masks and pretend it's safe to go back to living normally so we don't lose another summer season. Because, tourist season is important. I'm not making light of that. I get it. I get businesses are hurting. I get that. I was unemployed until this week. I hadn't had a paying job in 2 years. So believe me, I get it. But the the economy is hurting. We all know that. But allowing more Americans to die is not going to help anything. And how ironic that even under a criminal, sociopathic scumbag like Trump, many Americans struggling to survive over the past 2 years got more help from his administration than we have from the current Democratic administration. How is that even possible? How is that not recognized? I mean, the insanity. I just don't know how to express it. So, my fellow Democrats, there's a sad truth we have to face if we're going to be honest. And I like to be honest. Our leaders, and I'm talking about our Democratic leaders, they have blood on their hands too. And denying that truth will not change the fact. It's a reality. Making the CDC do a complete reversal about the hazards we're still facing hours, and I mean literally 4 hours after issuing a warning telling us we're not out of the woods, uh, does not make us the good guys. It doesn't. I'm sorry. Excuse me. Water time. Mm. And let's get real. Issuing mask mandates, uh, which people ignore, and social distancing, which is a pure and utter joke because I haven't seen anybody doing that in more than a year. Uh, it's a joke. The problem is the joke's on us. You know, home of the free, land of the brave. Yeah, that, my friends, may be the biggest joke of all. Um, oh God, I could go on. Uh, But on that note, uh, since I've now hit about 43 minutes and probably lost most of my audience 10, 15 minutes ago, or those who are going to tune in later, uh, I'm going to end on that note because it's an important one, and it's the one I firmly believe. So I hope this broadcast worked. I hope it went well. I enjoy doing this live. And if it does work, I'll probably do it again, although I have to figure out how to do it live with guests. And I know there are a lot of you people who know how to do that or are doing that. But, I'm an old guy and I'm technologically challenged. So what can I say? Anyway, thank you. Thank you, those of you who were with me for this live, those who watch later or listen to the podcast version. Uh, and as I always say when signing off, remember, try to be good to each other, try to take care of each other, and whatever you do, don't take any shit from anyone. Thanks, and I guess I'll see you soon. And now I hit end stream, and that will end the show. Have a great week, folks.